This is Gary Zaleski, the host of The Gary Zaleski Show, the podcast for those who want to discover that human fuel called passion and build the life they have always wanted to live. I've been a professional speaker, author, and licensed minister for over 30 years, helping people professionally and personally who are tired of being stuck in the pursuit for something more. My wife calls me the human defibrillator because I jumpstart tired hearts and those minds that have checked out. I want you to become emotionally and financially profitable without sacrificing your faith or family. This show, it's all about the people I've connected with all over the world. People who have changed my life with their resiliency to never, ever quit. Shared moments that became lessons learned and laughter that took my breath away. Join me now in discovering the life you have always wanted to live. All right, welcome to the Z-Bomb Podcast. Today, I think I'm excited. I'm not sure. I've got a lot of mixed emotions going on right now because my buddy from a long time ago, Dr. Brian Bennett, it's not a doctor, but I call him that anyway. Fasten your seatbelt, seriously, because what's coming, I have no clue, but I'm telling you, you're going to hear some Z-Bombs, and it's going to be amazing. Brian, welcome to the Z-Bomb Podcast, bro. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic, Gary. Pleasure to be here with you.
Well, you know what? I'm looking at you, and over the years, people have said, wow, you guys look a lot alike. And I'm looking at you right now, and I'm going, I don't see it.
Because I'm much better looking than you are. So you walk in the grace of me because I'm so good looking. People tell you that we look the same. So I'm good with that.
And both of us live in this incredible world of complete deception. So that's the other thing that works for you and I. All right, enough of that. Brian, who in the heck are you? What do you do? Why do I have you on this podcast today, man? What are you going to bring?
Not sure why I'm on this thing today, but I'll tell you a little bit. I've been in the restaurant business my entire life, Gary. That's who I am. So I am a guy that has worked every day of his life to have a family, to have business, and to try to do better tomorrow than I did today. And that's kind of how I live my life. And I'm a bit rambunctious, and I can be loud at times, and I laugh at myself and others constantly. So underneath all that is a devotion to hard work and building relationships with people, because that's part of what our work is on a daily basis.
Well, let's get down to the practice, man. You own several restaurants. You have opened all kinds of restaurants. I wouldn't say just restaurants. You're so much more than that. Well, let's go back. I think I first met you in a restaurant. How many years ago was that?
I think 1980.
We're down in, I think, Del Mar, California, and Trish and I are eating at a Chevy's restaurant down in Del Mar. And I don't know, because I don't have a great memory, Trish does, but we're sitting there, something about we have a dog or something, and you walk in, and what happened? Do you remember what happened?
I just remember meeting two funny people. We just laughed and hit it off immediately from that point on, and we were friends.
I want listeners to really know, not that you and I are just great friends, even though that is the most important thing. But I want our listeners to know that I'm talking to a guy that has opened hundreds and hundreds of restaurants around the country. You have a story of not only just opening restaurants, but opening people and opening up their hearts and opening up belief systems inside of them and pulling things out of people that were in them that they didn't even know about. You are probably one of the most enthusiastic, passionate people I've ever met. And for me to say that goes a long way, man. So let's go back. What's the whole Chevy story right now?
Well, the Chevy story was that I got a great opportunity to help build a restaurant company, and full advantage of it. We moved 17 times, my wife and I, in 11 years to build restaurants around the country. And when I say I'm in the restaurant business, I'm also in the people development business, because in order to build a business, you have to develop people, and they have to trust you, and they have to buy into the way that you are and the way that you manage people. And they have to want to be part of this journey of yours, right? Because you have to build an army. It's one thing to open a restaurant with 100 employees, but in 4 months, you go open another one, and in 4 months, another one. And And then you become in charge of opening 5 and 4 months, and every restaurant has 100 employees. And when you start to think about that, pretty amazing, but you have to build it. You have to grow your own people because you need your own field sergeants. You can't hire people from outside into working in this. You have to build from one brick at a time. And so that's what we did. First with Chevy's, spent 17 years building that business. And when we were done, there was 143 restaurants across the country. It was a lot, but it was fun. I mean, I didn't count them till later. People said, how many? I don't know. I opened, let's see, California, Arizona, Missouri, Kansas. You just start going. I got to visit all these great places and meet all these great people across the country, from New York City to San Diego, and from San Diego to Orlando, Florida, and up to Portland, Oregon, and everywhere in between. So we got to meet people. We got to understand what people are like in different parts of our country. We got to develop friendships and build people that, really helped us because build this business. And so it was a great ride for 17 years at Chevy's.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah. And the thing I keep hearing, and here's the word that keeps going in my head when I think about you as leadership, especially right now, people need to understand what leadership is in today's culture. You hit on a couple of things about building people, about investing in people. You'd open up a restaurant and it almost sounded like a junior high band teacher. These are the people that I really heard for. Because junior high band teachers, they get the students when they hardly know anything. They can't even play any instrument. And then when they get them to the place where they know how to play, guess what? They move on to high school. But your people didn't move on, you did. And you moved into another situation where you had to do a whole new retraining of people who really didn't have a clue. How do you do that over and over again as a leader?
Well, the great thing is, unlike the junior high band leader, one guy that could, or one lady or one person that could play those notes, you said, hey, do you want to get in my traveling band? And they go, okay. And then you would take that person to the next restaurant and plant a seed. So you had a lead guitarist when no one else could play the music. And as you built your organization, you collected those people. And I was lucky enough to collect, maybe when we left Chevy's, when we sold Chevy's, I had 42 direct reports, regional directors and regional food supervisors across this country. Only 2 of which were hired outside of the business while we were developing. Everybody else was homegrown, started as a manager, an assistant kitchen manager, and worked their way up into supervisory roles. People that believed in our vision of fresh Mex across the country, people that believed in a vision of taking care of people and coaching them and developing and most importantly, working very long hours and more importantly, working alongside me. Because once you figure out how to manage me, because they all did, then life is grand, right?
First of all, talking about taking somebody from in-house rather than from the outhouse, okay? Which
right.
I really like that. So when you open one of those restaurants as a leader, we're going to get on to what you're doing now too as well. But when you open and you walked into one of those locations, were you looking for that kind of person, or did they just kind of surface? Or
that's a great question. You got to look for people constantly. You can't just judge a book by its cover, right? People have to be judged on their heart too, right? And if they're willing to learn, if they want to learn, we can teach them. It's the ones that don't want to learn that we don't want around us. So if you're willing to learn and listen and try, why wouldn't we take that person and create out of somebody that aspires to be successful? They want to be in our business, but they don't know how. So we just teach them. I had lunch with a young man yesterday, worked for me for 15 years, and I hadn't seen him in 20 years. He drove by one of my restaurants and saw my name up there, and he pulled in and said, God, could you tell your dad to call me? And so we had lunch together yesterday. And he was cracking me up because he was telling stories about me that, I'd long forgotten. But
I think the part that really hits me right now, Brian, is the fact that when you said you have to look for people, you look for people. And it seems like, I might be wrong here, but as a leader, it didn't seem like you were looking to see what people were going to do wrong. You were actually looking to see what people were going to do right. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I still have to reward the people that want to work. The guy that says, I'll work any shift, any day. I need to support my family. Okay, he's in until he falls off, because if he keeps his word, he's going to be a great employee, a great manager, a lot of steps to take. But people that say, I just want to be here. We have a kid that works for me now that said, in 4 years, I'm going to run this restaurant. I'll be the general manager. And every time I see him, I go, how's that quest going? I'm not giving up, And so people will come forward, and some of them you just have to kind of look through they surround themselves with a lot of guard.
I'm interrupting. This is a little Z-bomb. We surround ourselves with a lot of guard. Unpack that. What do you mean by that?
I just mean people are hesitant to show their true selves because they don't want to be attacked. They don't want to be belittled. They don't want to. So when you let them just drop their guard and go, just do what you do, right? I'm a fat guy, so I can't hide I'm fat. So I just have to go to work, right? And I can still outwork anybody. I'm overweight. Okay, well, what's your problem? Why do you have to hide about that? I'm not going to be self-conscious of that. I'm going to be conscious of it in my own self. But because of that, I'm going to work harder. And there's a lot of people out there that want to be let out of, they don't want to be trapped in this thing that they've created around themselves. They've been told when they're in high school or college or kids that they're not good, not worthy, blah, blah, blah. And I don't believe in all that. I believe in you're as good as your last day at work. Show me what you got. And you don't have to be that way. And I know my daughter's taught me this. If I'm a little more gentle today, I can get even more people to bare their soul. And once they bare their soul, we can work on them because they've already committed to being part of what we're doing. And so we just have to find a way. And they're, late bloomers, people that you work with for 5 or 6 or 7 months, they finally smile. And I go, oh, look who came to work today. Where's that one been? And they laugh and they go, I'm feeling really comfortable. I know what I'm doing. I go, just think that we're too fast to judge. It's like some people can't interview. Some people are just full of it and they can interview very well because they're full of themselves and they're very bravado. And then there's people that are more constrained and shyer and not really able to communicate properly to the people they want to impress with. I'm better than what I'm showing, right? And you have to, in our business, there's 100 employees in every restaurant, right? So we hire a lot of people, we have to talk to a lot of people, and then we have to get the best out of them. And it's not something that starts tomorrow. This is a growth thing that, people need time to learn what you're all about, learn what your culture is. And yes, there are people that don't belong there, but mostly people want to be appreciated. And if they have hospitality in their hearts in our business, I was an accountant, I probably would not be looking for it, but I'm looking for hospitality, people that want to be around people that make you smile when you come in, to greet you and say, hey, good to see you again. Come on, we got your favorite table here. Those are what we're looking for, people that make you feel like you're coming to my home. Every time somebody comes into our restaurants, we treat it like it's our home, and we have to have people that have hospitality. And it comes in all shapes and sizes. And we just have to look through all that and try to find the nuggets of gold. I mean, it's kind of like panning for gold. It's kind of like doing any kind of prospecting. We're prospecting for people, and we're looking for those that we think we can help, that can help us. Because if we develop these people, they help us. They become our best employees. So it's not about just us being, oh, look at me, how great I am. I've got a purpose here. My purpose is to get you better and more secure in yourself and your job so you can support me to do what we do, which is, make money. We're in a business of creating profits for shareholders, and we've got to take care of other people to nurture that. And we got to fertilize the seed. We got to farm it just like farmers when we're doing what we do in our business, because we reap the rewards of what we do in 9 or 10 months. If we're nice to people today, we build business 10 months from now. So we're always looking for people, and people a lot of people, especially in today's world, because everybody has this to hide behind. So they're not as confident because they watch TikTok and Facebook and whatever else they've got going on that social media. And so you have to kind of say, okay, it's okay to put that down. And this is going to be the real world where it's live all the time. You can't edit it. You're just going to talk to people. And so that's part of that whole nugget thing.
I'm always trying to sit here from the audience perspective of people that are actually listening to this right now, because I've listened to podcasts, Brian, where all of a sudden you get a guest on and they got the nuggets and the host is like, blah, 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 just shut up. So I'm trying to be sensitive to that. But at the same time, you're saying some things I think we need to pause on for just a second. If I was an audience person right now and I was listening to this, I would think, man, I want to go work for that guy. That's the dude that I want to work for, because we're hearing all of this positive energy, this positive enthusiasm. We're hearing about, growth ideas and how to pull great things out of them. However, you talked about the real world just a few minutes ago. you weren't talking about virtual reality. When you walk into a restaurant, it's not a virtual experience. So it's a face-to-face experience. So if somebody's listening to this right now, what are some of the things that you're looking for in the real world in people that you see potential leadership or growth in?
I'm looking for hospitality. The older people that come in that are looking for lunch. Do we understand? Do we read everybody's body language? What do they want, right? How you doing, Grandpa? Come right this way. Younger people don't, but at the same time, we grow our business by being hospitable. What does that mean? Gracious, respectful, listening. We slow down enough to make an eye contact with somebody and you have a reservation tonight. How are you? Or go to the table as a food server and say, how you guys doing tonight? I'm here to take you on this journey. Have you been here before? Do you know how the game is played? If not, let me explain it to you, what we're about, what he's about, or what the family's about. And to us, it's more about if you came to our house, we wouldn't just open the door and walk away. Look for people that we can unlock. And once they get the hang of it, then they go, wow, this is kind of fun because it's a game in its own little thing because you get to talk with all these people and you can change. You could say, hi, how are you? Every time that anybody comes in, you could do all kinds of things with guests that come in. And so, it's a fun thing, right?
Okay. I got to backtrack because people that are listening go, well, so he's still opening Chevy's restaurants. Is that what he's doing? No. Let's catch up. Let's catch them up. Okay. Because Paul Martin's in Sacramento, it was a dream child, I believe, of something that happened with you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we sold Chevy's in 2005, and we wanted to open a restaurant we could go to, a more adult, casual style, polished casual dining restaurant. And so we developed a restaurant called Paul Martin's American Grill. That's the end result. Along the way, I met a man named Paul Fleming who had started P.F. Chang's and had started Fleming's Steakhouse, and he became my biggest partner and the driving force behind what became Paul Martin's American Grill. And we built 11 restaurants, and Paul and I are still partners at Paul Martin's, but we had a great time, 15 years. I got tired of traveling, Gary. I traveled for 25 years for Paul Martin's and for being away from my family all the time. And so we decided to do something that could be locally based here in Sacramento and South Placer County, that we could be part of the community much more than we could any other. We could go to charity events and support the charity. There's so many people out there doing such great work that we need to be in the business of being part of the community along with the restaurant. So it was my wife's dream and mine to be part of the community, to be present and accountable. And that's what we've created with Bennett. So we have 2 restaurants now and a third one under construction, all within 30 minutes of our home, so that we can be present in communities, at golf tournaments, at charity events, holding fundraisers for people in our restaurants and being part of what we are, the community, right?
You skip quickly and I understand, but Bennett's is not, it's not just a coffee shop, bro. Come on, man. I mean, Bennett's is becoming an iconic place in the Sacramento Placer County area. But let me say, not because just the food is excellent. And by the way, Bennett's, if you've not been there, you've got to go. Bennett's is not just a great food. I watched your posture change almost when you started talking about community and being part of the community. And my wife and we had invited a couple of friends on Valentine's just a few weeks ago. And I drove from from Bakersfield all the way up to Sacramento for the single purpose of going and taking my wife to Bennett's with another couple. And we got there, you walk over, you sit down in our booth. Here's the owner of Bennett's, sits down in our booth, and you stayed the entire time with us, man. And it was the most impactful thing when you started talking about community and talking about how important community is to you and to Susan and to your incredible daughter, Margot. All of you, it's not just about a restaurant. It's about a community experience, about giving back to people. That's who you are. Talk to me about that.
I'm a dreamer and I'm a doer. So some people are dreamers and they don't do anything about it. We're risk takers. We're entrepreneurial. We have been on the edge many times. We have struggled to get through times because we take risk. And somehow the universe always supports us and we get through it on the other side. And part of our mantra is to thank the community and the energy that has supported us, right? It's not so easy to do what we do, or everyone would do it. So in the restaurant business, I mean, there are days that it's very slow and we go, where is everybody? Well, how come they don't believe in us? Well, they do believe in us. They just don't know you're there yet.
I'm serious, Brian. When I walk into your restaurant, I look around and now you've got two that are just phenomenal. I go, man, is that guy lucky? He is so lucky. Look what he has. Look what he's got. He is so lucky. So, Brian, are you and Susan just lucky?
Yeah, we're just lucky, right? I told you that story the other night. Thanks for the curveball. Lucky is what you earn, right? I mean, we always wait for people to say that so we can bust up now, like, you're so lucky. And we just look at each other and we are, praise God, we're so lucky. Thank you. It had nothing to do with 80-hour work weeks and worrying about money in the bank and making payroll and doing all that. We're just lucky, you know?
Yeah.
So you earn your luck.
You earn your luck. You earn your luck. I love that.
Nobody ever said it was going to be easy. Everybody says, well, I thought it was going to be easy. It's not easy. And there's always going to be obstacles in your way. Always going to be obstacles in your way. Maybe there's, an outlier that never had a problem. But most entrepreneurs, people with vision, face reality every day. And most of it is not pleasant. And then those guys and those women and those families that believe in one another and say, you don't give up, don't ever give up. And when you do that enough times, you're going to be a winner, but there's no guarantees. You have to make sure that you got to do your work. And that means financially behind the scenes, you don't open a restaurant on a credit card, that you have equity investors, that you're not borrowing money, large amounts of money that you have to pay back when the economy goes south. Hey, guess what? We're in it again. When things happen, you have to make conscious decisions not to let those things get in your way.
How do you do it, Brian? How do you do it? Because I know there's people listening right now. I can almost feel their eyes rolling back in their head going, yeah, that's a great little motivational speech. Thanks a lot, Brian. Appreciate it. But in reality, we all get overwhelmed. How do you overcome overwhelming? What does Brian do when he's having those feelings of absolute feeling like, I don't know if I'm going to make it?
I do a lot of meditation, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of, and I'm not going to say I sit down every day and I don't burn candle, but there's a lot of time spent on being, what do we have to do this moment? If I solve this today, it allows me to move on, and you can't get overwhelmed. I mean, I tell people all the time, relax, take one day at a time and look at what's going on. We don't have a good shift in the restaurants, and the managers go, I go, it's one shift in a restaurant, bro. Let me tell you the many I've had. And I could tell you many stories where I go, this is not going to end up good today. It's a disaster. But guess what? You clean up and you go on the next day and you have a better shift because you learn from it. It's called experience. It's called, I've been there before. It's called nothing is easy. And it is a way you have to be if you're going to be entrepreneurial. If you work for a living where you even have a boss that's blocking you and you put all this power and energy into disliking that boss, instead of taking all that power and energy into either finding a new boss or finding out why that boss is that way and overcoming that objection. I know that you could buy this video from somebody that tells you all that stuff, but this is real life. I mean, you got to just kind of figure out no negative energy today. Why do I dislike that person, this thing, that situation? And I would say, well, then go get a new job, but don't quit the old job till you have a new job because you don't want to burn the bridge, right? But you can't complain about it. I don't want to hear about it one more day about how you don't like your boss, because that's all you do.
You're saying things that are going right at me, the core of me, because there's times that I find myself saying things that are just critical and negative. A couple of days ago, yesterday, we have my 4-year-old grandson in our car. We picked him up from school. We have him in our car. He's in the back seat, and we go to the post office, right? Just to mail a letter. And all of the mailboxes say out of order, and they have the cones blocking, so you can't just drop off your mail. I know it sounds simple, but I'm telling you, I start going, I say to the street, this is so stupid, man. Why can't they, why did they don't need to close those. They can empty them out and put them out. Now I got to get out of the car. I've got to go and I've got to put it in mail. And why does it go in the post office? They should be, and I'm going off, right? Charisse waits until after we drop our grandson off. We get in the car. She looks at me and she says, don't you ever do that again. I go, what did I do? She goes, Mr. Negative in front of your grandson? He's listening to every word you say. Gary, I don't want our grandson growing up saying, well, Poppy was really funny, but he was a grumpy old man. People are listening, Brian. They're sensing our attitude. What you just said about this, stop putting so much energy into that negativity. Man, you spoke to me big time. There are just a few people in my life, maybe because I've shrank my life through bad judgments. I don't know. But there's a few people in my life, Brian, that always leave me better than when I showed up. And you are one of those people. Every time I'm with you. And Susan, she is literally no different. I mean, your wife is so enthusiastic. She's so much like Cherise. She's there. She'll tell you exactly what she thinks.
Yeah.
And then you walk into the restaurant a couple of days ago, and there's Margot, your beautiful daughter, greets us with this incredible smile. And by the way, I did go to the wrong restaurant, which I apologize for that. But regardless, Margot, you want to talk about hospitality. I think Margot is the poster child for hospitality. I don't know how she is as your daughter. I don't know on a day-to-day. But I know when I walked into that restaurant, she made me feel like I was the only one there. And that is such a gift and a skill that she saw in somebody else somewhere.
I don't know where she found it, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful that she has that ability. And we're very proud of what she's becoming and is and who she is and what part in the business. I mean, just as a kid that wanted to be in our business, right? And
Wow.
she came and says, I'm going to learn how to run these businesses. And I went, all right.
Let me brag on your daughter for a minute. I know when
Okay.
she would come to Bakersfield, which is obviously vacation capital of the world, Bakersfield, California, she would come and she would just want to be with us. She wanted to hang out with Charisse and I. And she'd come and she'd be at our house. And I'm telling you something, she was so much joy to be with. She makes it easy to be around her. And I can't say that about a whole lot of people, maybe even including myself, but she makes it so easy to be around. And I think that is the epitome of hospitality and when she left, when she would leave our house, I wanted her to come back. And I think sometimes we need to ask the question, when people leave us, do they leave us wanting less or do they leave us wanting more? And I've always, Margot, you, Susan, every time I've left, I've always got, that guy has an encore about him. I want to stand up and say, please give me a little bit more, Brian. Give me a little bit more. And yeah, you're not lucky, bro. You're not lucky. You're blessed because you have blessed so many people. So if you're listening at the podcast, man, if you're in the Sacramento, I'm going to do this. I got to do that. I've never done this before, Brian. If you're in the Sacramento area, Placer County, 2 restaurants right now, Bennett's. Where do they go to find Bennett's, bro?
In Sacramento at Fair Oaks and Howe Avenue, and in South Placer County in Roseville at Lead Hill and Eureka Road. And we're there waiting for you 7 days a week.
Okay. What's one of the great dishes right now that's going on at Bennett? So I could live my life through you. What if there was one dish that you would say, man, this would be worth coming for? They're all good. I know. But if there's one that you would say, this is worth making the drive for, which one would it be?
Well, in Sacramento, it would be the brick chicken. Scale has been marinated, just a half a chicken to bone, and then pressed in a pan. Crispy chicken with jus and some mashed potatoes or spinach. And it's delicious. My favorite dish in Sacramento. We don't have that in the other restaurants. So
what about the other restaurant?
now it's fresh halibut from North Atlantic. And it's got a fresh mango salsa on top, a little bit of virgin olive oil and some roasted asparagus. Just delicious.
I want this to be a scratch and taste podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Well, listen, Brian, man, I don't have this massive great close, but I will say this. I love you, buddy, with all my heart. And you are the brother I've never had. You truly are. You look amazing. I hope you're feeling better. You sound better. And please give my love to Susan and Margot. And man, more success to you than ever. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gary. See you soon.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to my podcast. If you have any questions about today's show or would like more information on how you can bring me to your next event, please reach out and I will be sure to get back to you ASAP. Till then, have a passion-filled day.